and I haven't spoken since June. Haven't spoken since June and all, because I think what's happening here is, the whole lecture model thing has crashed and burned in the aspect of, about 14 years ago, the whole concept of the Afrocentric movement and all that became prominent, and we had the whole Afrocentric scholars to go forth and do the whole historical thing. And it started dissipating around 1995. It started dissipating around 1995. Unfortunately, what was supposed to happen, and even in the aspect of what I think it was what ASCAT wanted to put forth is that they wanted to say that certain people take the information, and then younger people would come in and take the information and bring the information into whatever we call the millennium or whatever. Unfortunately, we didn't have enough people to take the reins, so it only came a few people that went on into the whole esoteric thing. And also, therefore, as a result, the Afrocentric thing died down like in 95. It went strong for a couple of years, and then all of a sudden, it started dying down. Unfortunately, for a lot of the scholars and stuff, a lot of the people, they thought that the only thing that they had to learn was just the historical aspect about it. And we still got people arguing over history, you see what I'm saying, to this particular day. The whole concept here is that, and I always say this, what did the Egyptians learn? What did the Egyptians know? So, as a result, me and a couple of other scholars took it on into the 2000s, into the millennium. And we started feeling the pinch. I started feeling the pinch around 2000, and stuff started petering out. For one reason is, we know now that there's no more people coming into consciousness. It's only the people that are still in the consciousness of people that somehow got on track somewhere in the last 14, 15 years, and basically they need to find out what was the next step. But, like Sister Erica said, and which is right, you don't need a whole bunch of people. You don't need a whole bunch of people. That's what happened when you have whole huge movements is, you have a whole bunch of people, and then the first thing you know, you have all kinds of infiltration and all types of things that always start to happen. It basically becomes a religion. And so therefore it was time out for that. In most movements that actually work, you only have a small group of people. So it is not based on the amount of people, it's only based on the few people that's going to bring this thing about. Now ultimately, once this thing gets going, those particular people will see the manifestation as far as the actual masses. And there's an old saying that also, we have to get this so that in actuality, it's almost like each conscious person is a representative of thousands of people that's dead. So they don't have to get it. You see what I'm saying? As a matter of fact, like we said last night, we are at the worst stage, or we are some of the worst people we ever were in the history of the planet now. You see what I'm saying? So, but then again, on the other hand, that is also prophesied too. He even say right in the Bible that this thing goes on so long until even the actual elect will be challenged, or the elect will be threatened. You see what I'm saying? So that means, and the elect, who are the elect? The elect are these particular people that took the reins and got this particular consciousness, got hold of this particular consciousness within the last umpteen years. Let's say basically from the late 80s on into now, somehow you fell on board. That basically is the elect. Fortunately for us, the European knows that what happened here is, it was prophesied that we would get what we were supposed to get. And I mentioned the book, The Zealotar, that talks about the Africans in America will be the ones, And basically, that even the Europeans, they was urging them in 1999, and in 2000, it was even urging them that if they were going to save themselves, they need to look for some type of black conscious group, or they need to look for some type of black brotherhood. And also, Steve Coakley said one time, give me some water. Give me a thing of water. Even Steve Coakley said one time that when he had a person that when he was studying this Illuminati stuff, that the white boy said that the only thing that could stop the Illuminati would be the urban black person in America. I often wondered where to get it from, but I heard that Darrell Rice said that he has a copy of this thing. He has a copy of this thing. As far as the urban black person in America. I'm saying that because I want to set up a series of dialogues, some things that's actually happening. There's a great conspiracy that needs to be opened up today, and I want to get into some of that. But on one hand, where did you get that from, Darrell? What? You know that part I told you last night about what Steve Coakley said, where it was some white guy that said the only thing that can stop these powers to be would be the urban black person.
Back when he said that, I think it was about 96 or something like that, 97?
Actually, I heard him say it as early as 92.
Okay.
But I was trying to find out where did that article come from. He said
my partner had got it from me. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure where he got it from, but he got it from me and gave me a copy of it.
Oh, okay, yeah. Which is
I don't remember.
But I'm just saying, what I'm trying to do is log in the evidence that these Europeans automatically know these things. The simple fact that we also had the piece that came off of the internet. In 2000, where they also said that the Africans in America will be the heirs to the earth. To be the heirs to the earth. And these are the Europeans saying this. Which leads up to the actual dialogue today, what we're going to get into is, and I started it last night to say, what is it that would have a people, even when we're in our worst hour and we're down on the lowest level we could be, when you turn on the TV set, anything that comes on that TV that's got a black face on it is some type of degrading thing. Like, take for instance, this HBO show, The Wire. You see what I'm saying? Now, actually, it's filmed in a project in Atlanta, some closed down projects in Atlanta. You see, so they got this HBO show, The Wire, putting forth this whole drug thing. Now, I happen to know in most inner cities now the drug thing is wiped out, and most bigger inner cities, the drug thing is bigger in the smaller towns. You see what I'm saying? Most of it, it's like, especially in Atlanta, the crack thing has been non-existent since before the Olympics. And as far as the phenomenon that we experienced back in the late 80s and early 90s. And we know that basically in most major cities, the big cities, they have single-handedly wiped out drugs, but we know that the drugs are more rampant in the smaller cities or the smaller towns. So I'm saying, I go to my hometown mother in South Carolina, and it's an epidemic. And it's been that way even back as early as 1988. You see what I'm saying? But in the bigger cities, the reason why they was able to wipe it out, because they basically locked up damn near everybody. But why is it they got this movie, The Wire, still perpetrating the fraud as if to say that the drug thing is still that vital when it's really not? But they got this wire, it would coincide more with something that happened 10 years ago than now. That is because they still got to send that message across seas. They got to send it to Africa. Not because this shit is global and satellite. You see, and this thing is based on satellite. They got to send this message around the world. You see what I'm saying?
And they still got the corner on, too. You ever seen the one called
the corner? They still got Oz.
Right.
And I just got this AT&T broadband, which is the new, just like the satellite. Cable had to come up and get 200 channels. And I'm flipping through this thing, and I'm saying, you know, if I was in Sweden, I would swear out that black people was nothing but a bunch of buffoons, or either drug dealers, or users. There's nothing on this shit positive. Even the damn movies that they put on. First of all, they'll take a movie, like they'll take these movies. They ain't nothing but like the Steve Harvey show. They just made it an hour and 45 minutes to 2 hours and give you these damn bullshit movies. The same comedy movie is the same TV show that come on, the few that they have left and all, but nothing of substance. Now take for instance, you got this, was it American Image? What was the thing that thing on? American Idol? Now, first of all, the guy pretty much hands down was the best shit rolling. The guy Justin. Danny Glover's nephew. You know, and also he is also his father was the chief of police down in Atlanta, named what's the guy I said Elgin Bell, which was the chief of police in Atlanta for years. So now the guy was clearly, and you know they got radio shows, and you know they was talking junk about it because they said he looked half white and all this kind of thing here. But see, then again on the other hand, that's another fucked up form of divide and conquer. The Chancellor Williams say, never fall for that shit because of the person with this whole damn Lavado shit. The motherfucker black. So, and Chancellor Williams say, never ever fall for this and stuff. Because throughout history, from the Arabs, when they started doggone conquering things, on up to the white boy, whenever this shit went down, they took the doggone mulattoes and threw them right in with the black people and oppressed them too.
That's the Willie Lynch thing.
So we know also too that the mulattoes have shared the oppression along with us. Now we know this whole divide and conquer stuff, but we know that the other way we don't have that much allies to be throwing away a light skinned motherfucker or some dark skinned people and all, because you know what I'm saying? We know that that's a partisan stuff. But they had a group of people in Chicago and all that was talking shit about the guy Justin and all this kind of thing here. You see what I'm saying? And clearly we can see that this guy, hands down, was the best talent in this particular thing. But the reason why the white girl had to win is because of this. Also, like you're saying, based on the image that they got us in, but also this too, is that Fox, as well as the WB, they first started out with mostly black programming in their inception when they first started out, and UPN. And as a result, after they got the momentum and white people started tuning in because they started adding these particular white shows, they started basically cutting down these particular black shows. And Fox came out in '99 and said, automatically, we are getting away from any kind of black programming. They actually said this shit right on the TV. So therefore, if they got this American Image and they got all these people, they know if that show to be getting picked up next season, first of all, whites are going to say, well, man, we ain't going to watch that shit, because first of all, we know somebody black going to win because we know the talent is better. So what they would do to ensure them that this thing will get picked up the next season, they got to doggone make sure that the white girl win, so the next time a white person said, hey, I don't know, the black people win, you go, the first person who won was also black. Was also white. That's a form of the whole demographics aspect of the thing. WB, which started out in '95, was completely black. Now all of a sudden, they're down to one or two shows. You see what I'm saying? But like I said, you know, everything is always propaganda. But going back to this particular science, around the world, when you basically break down black programming, it is basically buffoonery or some type of thugism. And the point I'm trying to make, we've heard all this shit before, but the point I'm trying to make here is, I could see if this was a factor when we see black people on the rise. But black people now are at their lowest point ever, which means this, and I mentioned this last night. The number one goal for black people, and always has been, was to gain the interest, to gain the acceptance of the slave master or the white man. As far as they're concerned, now we're talking about breeding a person. When you breed someone, you have bred that particular person to function based on what you breed. Well, one part about just the slave system itself was you got to obey the master. And how do you obey the master? You obey the master by accepting the master or wanting the master to accept you. That's the whole Stockholm syndrome where the person is captured or the kidnapped fall in love with the kidnapper. You see what I'm saying? But the concept here in the breeding here is, if you take a person and beat that person, and we beat that person will rebel against you, and then when you break its spirit, once you break the spirit, that particular person will mainly want you to accept him or her. So basically, once you break that spirit, that person will do everything just to get the master's acceptance. Now, when you think about this psychologically, of what we are, and we are bred, it's like one brother in South Carolina said, it's one thing to say brainwashing based on the last couple of years, since we've been out of slavery and we saw things. But it's another thing when a person systematically breeds you, and what does that mean? It's in the movie Dune, and I talked about it last night, where the House of Atreides fell because they entrusted this guy who was up under the king, but the king and them didn't worry about him because of the simple fact he was bred with imperial breeding to be loyal to the king. So the only thing the Harkonnens had to do was get to that particular overseer or the trustee member and break his royal imperial breeding, that he could actually open up and say, hey, I see now, I don't necessarily have to be loyal. And once he broke that imperial breeding, then they was able to bring down the House of Atreides in Dune. And they talked about the imperial breeding. So we're talking about a breeding process here. Now going with that particular concept, if we are bred not only to obey, because now we don't obey because we live on our own, but we are bred also to always look for the master's acceptance. This is powerful mind control. That means once the master turns around and accepts you, that means that your goals and objective for life is already done. I got accepted from the master. So therefore, I don't have to be the best black, or be the black consciousness, or be these types of things. Why? Because I already have acceptance from the master. So why the hell am I going to go and beat myself up to go read some stuff, go sit up in a place and listen about this black shit when I got acceptance from the master? We're looking into mindsets, the psychological ramification of what happened to the so-called dead people out here. To give you an example, I had a cousin. I think right now she's no more than mid-30s. And at that particular time, she was in the early 20s, about 10 years ago. She was in the early 20s, so she's like early 30s or something now. And it was around this time, I had just started speaking, and we went home and we was talking about this black consciousness. I had been into it years prior, but it was right after I just did my first lecture and went home, and one of my first cousins, this sister, we was talking and all, and we was talking about the so-called black problem. She turned around and I said, you need to come on back in here and listen to some of this, She said, oh, I don't need that. That's not me. Shit, I just got me a job teaching school. I just got me a job teaching school. So that, as if to say that this is an underclass problem. But then again, on the other hand, psychologically, what she is saying, I am a success. I have acceptance with the status quo, or I have acceptance with the actual slave master. I'm an honorary white person. You see? So when she said, oh, that's not for me, psychologically, she means that that's what he does. That's why he gives you the accolades, the degrees, the jobs. The job is not just for your economic structure. They give you those jobs and stuff because they're saying, hey, I am now accepting you as an honorary white person. And it's just like Morgan Freeman. When he was on the Oscars, he said, ever since I was a little child, all I wanted to do was be in the movies. So if this man makes this opportunity feasible and makes this opportunity come, you see, to him, then also it means that he will do anything. Or whatever he says, man, I want you to wear a dress. Well, goddamn it, no. Well, motherfucker, you've been waiting for 30 fucking years to get here. Now you gotta wear the dress. You see, so it's like, you see, that's the whole concept here. You see, the honorary, this is a syndrome. So therefore, going back to this, if the white man has given black people in America his acceptance or the illusion of accepting you. Therefore, these particular people don't feel it necessary or an obligation to better themselves in trying to become more African, more ancient, or whatever you want to call it, more aware, because they already got what they were bred to do 300 years ago, 200 years ago. Was not only, at first it was to obey the master, but now that the master's not around, remember, they still, when they broke that particular person, that person was bred to accept the master, but also it was bred to appreciate the master's acceptance. You see, now, going back to this particular science, so what I'm trying to line up, here is, why is it, after they got basically 99.9% of all black people accept the white man, and they love the white man acceptance, end of story, we got people that don't want to do shit. Basically, the whole struggle aspect is dead. The white man is looking, he says, I have defeated these Negroes. Why does he continue to vilify these people and destroy these people's image on the silver screen, on the TV set? I mean, they've already been defeated. And that goes to set up the question of the number one thing now that we can say also at this particular point on why we catch a lot of hell to this particular time. And we've always said, well, we know that white people are jealous of us. You see what I'm saying? We know that white people are jealous of us. But the black people that we see around here ain't nothing to be jealous of now, because the simple fact, all the great attributes that we had, hell, we have squandered away. You go on the damn job, I know damn well they're not talking about those black people, because those black people, the upper mobile, the only thing they do is grin in white people's face. They white. You know what I'm saying? And laugh at all white people jokes. And scratch when they ain't itching. And smile when it's not appropriate to smile. You see? And always nice. Why do you feel that? You don't. So the human emotion of being fucked up, that's no more. They got to always be nice when it comes to them. So that's not even humanly impossible. That's like the goddamn Brady Bunch. Like my mama said, I don't like the Brady Bunch. You see them goddamn parents is always nice. Motherfuckers don't ever argue. You know, I'm just trying to say, that's artificial. But Negroes will have a bad day, but they'll be artificial when they come around white folks. You see what I'm saying? Huh? Oh, well, you know, when they say, you know, if somebody on your job is fucked up, you best believe it ain't that white person. You see what I'm saying? And it's becoming increasingly not being the white person now, and mostly the black person on that job. The point I'm trying to make here is, so what is it? Because even white people can't say, well, I feel inferior, or I feel jealous of those doggone fools. Because black people make it a point to make sure that white people like them. So what is it? It has to be a secret society that knows that ultimately we are the people. And that particular secret society, which is the greatest secret society of all secret societies, which is the pinnacle of all Illuminati and all them, they still have their highest priesthood, and that is the damn Jews. That is the Jews. Now, I say this because I happen to know something, and this information, when I made the mention last night, that man, somebody still just hates us to death. It can't be the general cracker and stuff, because the motherfucker, that nigga, we don't exist. You know, when a person is confident that you ain't shit, they don't feel you no more. Right. But I said, no, this thing has got to be something far more sinister. It has to be something more conspiratorial. There's a group of people that is the head of all the dumbass white people. It's like Steve Coker said, you got the pyramid. The ones on the bottom of the pyramid, them motherfuckers don't know shit. They're just stupid. They got individual prejudice. But the racist element, there's a difference between being prejudiced and racist. Prejudice, it sweeps a lot of shit under the rug. Prejudice, everybody has individual prejudice. That's just based on your life experience with the doggone people. But when we talk about the racist element, which is a constitutional ingrained way of life, an institutional way of life, a structure, the people on the bottom, they have individual prejudice, but on that top level, these are the people that have a consensus to say, whatever the deal is, they always got to be the fucking enemy. Now this has a lot to do with spirit too. When you talk about this, in this particular case, we're talking about a secret society. There's a difference. Even when Walter Williams talks about that we talk about these white Jews being a form of a secret society. Now, when you're a form of a secret society, that means you got a consensus. You see what I'm saying? Everybody got a secret society but us. You know what I'm saying? That means, look at here, motherfuckers, you can't be going out there marrying these doggone Negroes. You're going against the code. I believe there's one in Hollywood when it comes to white people. Why is it no major white stars? And they can sleep around all they want to, but they never really truly marry a black person. You see what I'm saying? No major white stars, but every black person fall off the wagon in Hollywood, they get interracially married. You see what I'm saying? That is because there's a consensus among the major Hollywood players. You see what I'm saying? That the majority of them, you see what I'm saying, don't marry nothing but white folks. You see, well, going in this particular aspect of a secret society, there's a consensus of a group of people saying, whatever the deal is, black people must be held down until the fucking sun don't come up no more. Till the very last day. And that particular one has to go back to the actual Jews. Now, the first thing I thought, and I often thought about this, and when we talk about this, is when Farrakhan and them was talking about the Jews, I said, wait a minute, this don't mesh right here. Let me go and show you exactly what I'm talking about here. There was a guy that wrote the book, The Original Man, which is the book on the life of Honorable Elijah Muhammad. The book came out in 1997. Came out in 1997 and stuff. The Original Man. When they asked the guy what was the difference between Farrakhan and Elijah Muhammad, the guy said, well, I've done the study over the last 3-4 years for St. Martin's Press on the messenger of Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And he said, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad didn't single out the Jews outside of white folks. You see what I'm saying? He didn't single the Jews out outside of just basically the white man being the damn devil. And that was the difference. And I often thought about that. I said, wait a minute, hold on. There's a conspiracy going on here. There's a conspiracy going on here. Why is Farrakhan singling the Jews out amongst all white people? And I said, wait a minute, this is not indicative of most black people. Most black people are not sophisticated enough to single out the Jews other than that same cracker that's on your ass. It's even in the white race. You can have a person, he goes to school, he's all in the fraternity, he's in things, then they find out he's Jewish. For the mere fact that they had to find out he was Jewish, they did not look at him based on his prototype and phenotype to say that I could tell that's a Jewish person. You see what I'm saying? That means if they couldn't do it, why the hell do you think black people, mainly black people up from slavery, going to just single out Jews with white people? I said, I know even in my life, you see white man, you say that's just a white man. Right. You don't say that's a Jew, not unless you hear the name Epstein or Goldstein or whatever. But I said, wait a minute, there's a conspiracy going on here. And I often wondered about this. I said, why is he singling out the Jews with other white people? I said, because I know, shit, even in my lifetime, the majority of motherfuckers who fucking with me, we just call them regular white folks. You see what I'm saying? I said, shit, I'm from Mother South Carolina. Hell, they ain't got no damn Jews down that motherfucker but a few. You see what I'm saying? I said, what happened to the regular crackers? Like they didn't lynch us or nothing. The stuff I'm trying to deal with here is that you try to show you that there's a conspiracy going on here. Now, the day I think kind of mentioned it yesterday, that there's a group of people that's jealous of us because, number one, these are the most advanced white people there is. These particular Jews. But I know black people. I know black people, and one thing I can say of studying my people for 15 years and speaking for 10 years, black people are not racist and never will be. And I'm going back from when I first got into this science when the brother that first turned me on to consciousness when I was dead, he said, first lesson for black consciousness 101, black people love white people. He said, if you don't understand nothing, I don't give a shit how much they talk shit about white people. I don't give a damn how much they complain about white people. They love white people. It's in their psyche. They're bred to love white people. If you didn't like white people, it would be hard to come on a TV set. Because 98% of what you're going to see is white people. Even the movies you got to get past, those are white people. If you hated white people, you wouldn't be able to watch TV. So this whole concept, I don't like white people, that's some shit you're telling yourself because it's hard not to like white people. You live in Western civilization. Any motherfucker say, I hate white people, they're crazy as hell. You have to train yourself to be aware that white people are fucked up. But you generally in nature don't hate white people because generally in nature, black people don't hate nobody but the people that they were bred to hate. And that's black people. And that's a psychological condition of the last 300, 400, 500 years. So the concept here is to say that there's a group of people that's anti-Semitic, is where I'm trying to get at here. That don't exist in the black community. Black people ain't sophisticated to be anti-Semitic. That means that you got to analytically and systematically single somebody out. And other than somebody black or dark-skinned, you see what I'm saying, or some other little thing in the black community, they ain't singling nobody out. Especially no white people that all look alike. You understand where I'm coming from here? That means what we're dealing with here, the whole concept of anything being black and being anti-Semitic is something that's cooked up by the fucking Jews. And for the mere fact you got a black leader that's talking shit about the Jews is a Jewish invention. That's where I'm going with this shit. The whole Farrakhan thing was funded by the fucking Jews. That's what you gotta understand. The whole concept. Because that's what the guy at St. Martin's Press said when dealing with the study of Elijah Muhammad. He said, studying this man, he said, studying this man, I'm telling you, in this man's life, and I had to go through this man's life for the last 3 years, this man did not separate white people from the Jews, or the Jews from white people. You see what I'm saying? Now, the point I'm trying to make is this here. I got it in this thing here. Darryl had a couple of books, and I woke up this morning and looked on his bookshelf, and I said, wait a minute, he got 2 books here on anti-Semitism. I said, wait a minute. 2 books here on one earlier book, one later book. One later book. Now, in this particular book, Anti-Semitism, there's a section in here. Let me show you this. It says, anti-Semitism in the minority community. It's this word minority. In the minority community. And in this book, which is a later book, Anti-Semitism, and it says, let me give you the pages. Let's see here. I'm trying to see that they put minority community. See, this whole concept here is, yeah. Now it is how should we think about black anti-Semitism? So now one is saying anti-Semitism in the minority community. One is years later when it says, how should we think about black anti-Semitism as if to say this shit is well and established. Okay, well and established. You see what I'm saying? Now, we know that Farrakhan, we didn't even know who this motherfucker was until 1984. You got to always, I remember there was a brother that was in my hometown, this brother used to go to jail every year. But it was interesting. He was a tall brother. He used to go to jail. But he was always a brother that all the fucking sisters couldn't get enough of. Tall, dark-skinned brother that every sister wanted this brother. And ironically, this brother would go to jail every year. And there's a connection between him going to jail every year and the sisters wanting him. And it goes back to the time when he probably wasn't going to jail every year. And how they systematically fucked his head up so he could be reincarcerated every year. Because this brother was an icon figure that the sisters liked. Whatever the judge was, they must have had a stamp saying, bam, whenever this motherfucker come before you, send this nigga ass to jail. See what I'm saying? And don't worry, we'll get him back up in here like a revolving door. You get how this thing goes? Like a revolving door. So the key here is that's going back to that whole Dionysian Osirian thing, that they also have to always stop some particular person that the sisters like. They'll lock them down faster than the motherfucker that the sisters don't like. There's a reason for that, because that's the whole Christ image and Osirian thing, the Dionysian thing, the Shiva thing. But this brother here, this brother always would quote years. And I said, damn, man, I thought I was the only one in town that my whole concept on how I remember everything is I remember what year it is. And I take everything that year and I lump it all into one category. So my mother then said, well, damn, what year this happened? They said, go ask Bobby. He'll tell you what year. Bobby, what year did so-and-so die? What year did we go here? I said, 72, 71, 75. Automatically. It's a filing system. And the brother used to say, I said, damn, man, you quote them years, man. I said, I thought I was the only one doing it. He said, you never will go wrong if you quote these years, if you always remember the years. And that's the same brother that used to go to jail every year. So it was a psychological thing, but then again, on the other hand, the white man recognized the genius up in him too. Now, going back to that, by me understanding years, I'm looking at these books, and I'm saying, wait a minute now, I already know something. But the first time in large, the general public found out about Louis Farrakhan was 1984, around the same time of the Democratic Convention with Jesse Jackson, another government agent, might I add. Okay? Jesse Jackson. Jesse Jackson made the Jaime remark. Farrakhan came to the defense. Around the same time, he made the aspect of gutter religion. And I'm saying, well, wait a minute, hold on. Farrakhan got enough fucking sense to know that whether it be Hebrew or whether it be anything and stuff, and this is one thing that John Henry Clark said, even on his tape, the one that Wesley Snipes did for him, the documentary that Wesley Snipes did a movie. John Henry Clark said, listen, he said, in the ancient world, you only had 2 white people in the entire ancient world. That's what people don't understand. We get these Hollywood images in our head and we think that it was a mixture. He said, no, there was only 2 white groups of people in the entire ancient world. And this was late. He said you either had to be Greek or Roman. And we know that the original Greece and Rome was black. He said if you weren't Greek and Roman, you were part of them other people, which were all Africans. Get where I'm coming from here? Which were all Africans. The point I'm trying to make here is, whatever original source of the Hebrew people or whatever type of thing here is, whether it was a conspiracy or whatever, the original thing was black people. You see what I'm saying? Now, for Farrakhan to call Judaism a gutter religion, you see what I'm saying, and knew there was a black element, he would have been offending black people also. See where I'm coming from here? But why did he have to make that particular point? See, this is all in retrospect. I'm trying to tell you, this whole shit is a big conspiracy. Now, I go into this, and that's why this motherfucker been selling out. Like,
and Farrakhan does the same thing all the presidents do with his hand. I watched him on Mike Devlin's show, and each time he did this praise sign to the devil, that the Pope, all the presidents do something with their hand, giving praise or something.
Other thing is why is it that he get to go on all the big white shows, and they got other black figures that nobody knows about, it's never been on TV. You understand what I'm saying? But I've been on TV. Now, we're gonna break apart this whole conspiracy because it's very important. Then I'll do the libation, but we on the road here and we can do things and all. But I want to go into this while it's hot because I don't want to waste time, but I want to deal with some stuff to show you how the black community is always under attack. Now, always under attack. What's that?
This tape is about to end. You may as well wait till after the break since you're about to.
Okay, how much time I got?
About 2 minutes.
About 2 minutes? Okay. But setting that up, we didn't know who this person was until 1984. Although they said that he re-jump started the nation back up in 1977. In general, the black people in America, number one, they didn't know who he was until 1984. That's the first time we ever heard of a Farrakhan. And isn't it ironic that the first time we ever heard of a Farrakhan was through what? Through the white man.
TV. Well, I saw it first time.
It was through the black media, through the white media. Look at the concept. The first time we ever heard of this person was in 1984, was not brought to us by black people. It was brought to us through the white media. Now, look at the science here. We hear this man in 1984. A year later, he's selling out Madison Square Garden. Now, here's a man that has a movement that can't be having that much money. I mean, he's not popular yet. But why is it? Here's a man that's having a movement. Now, look at the science here. He's going to Madison Square Garden, and he's going to big places, he's going to other places around the country comparable to Madison Square Garden. I want to know, how can you fund yourself to go to these places when you don't even know it's an experiment? We don't even know if black people will even show up. You understand what I'm saying? They don't know you. It's not an entertainment thing. You see what I'm saying? How can you, anybody ever thought of this? How can they rent Madison Square Garden? He comes out in 1984. Yeah. He comes out in 1994. You see what I'm saying? By the next year, he's selling this worldwide conspiracy. There's a reason why we have to explain it. Because it also gives a verification and also confirms that we are the people on this planet, I'm talking about the entire planet, are the ones slated to bring this thing about. Why? First of all, and when I say we are the people, we're talking about the people, the messianic people, the people that will bring forth the new paradigm. The new paradigm. No other people on the planet, and the reason why I say that is this. First of all, we know that, first of all, we have to break this thing down, least common denominator, first of all. And this has something to do with the Jews and all, but before I get in, I want to break this one thing down. Number one, we're the oldest people on the planet. So therefore, any of these scriptures or anything that was put forth by us. And everybody else is intruding. That's the first thing. But then you have to break it down to the Africans on the continent just do not have enough information to put forth this, because this is a joint effort. This is a joint effort both based on spirituality and scholarship. And do they have the pockets of spirituality and all of that and stuff? The scholarship is not there as far as what the deal is, because for all intents and purposes, they just came out of most of the countries just came out of colonization over a 30-year period. You see what I'm saying? Or a 40-year period. And all. So when you talk about it and you break it down, you're talking about people from the Western Hemisphere. And when you break down the people from the Western Hemisphere, any scriptures from anything from Egypt or Kemet on up, even into any biblical scriptures or any kind of scriptures from East India or anything, talks about it has to be the one that is up under the foot of the most powerful entity of the empire to bring it down. So definitely we're talking about the United States of America, and we're talking about people sophisticated enough that have gone through enough hell, and who knows this particular beast we're talking about. You see what I'm saying? The concept, unfortunately, on the African continent of understanding this particular white boy is somewhat dimmed, because the simple fact is they're used to seeing black face all the time and seeing black people all the time. So the whole concept of racism, they never lived in an isolated aspect where they were a people that was dominated solely by the Europeans in that particular aspect, because they got the land around them and they got people that look like them all the time around them. So they don't understand the particular dichotomy. Including the people on the islands, because when you think about it and all, wherever they are the people in mass in their particular group and stuff. You see what I'm saying? And you got the white people that's there, but these particular white people here is not in the dominant presence as you have in America. So we know that when the white people even said that the Africans in America are the heirs to the earth, they're talking about why is it? Because this would be the people that not only that, these are the people that not only are we African now, an ancient civilization. I don't want to use the word African because we're a lot more than that and stuff, because we're talking about one whole landmass at one time. You see what I'm saying? And one whole civilization, even before continental drift or the separation of the actual landmass. So I don't want to all the time say African, I'll just say ancient indigenous. You see what I'm saying? Ancient indigenous. And like I said the last time, we even have same kind of evidence that you got civilizations that's in Mexico that coincide, and I'm not just talking about they came before America process of somebody coming from Africa and colonizing Mexico. We're talking about this thing goes back so far because the white boy always want to categorize it. That's where we get this from. It has got to be either or. If it was one planet and one people on the planet, that means that these people was all over the globe before there was any continental drift. That's one thing we got to understand here. The Earth's history is 3 times older than anything what they're trying to say, and therefore we can't just go by the general history that everything just started right there in Africa and spread out. You see what I'm saying? This thing is way older than that. When we read our ancient mythology and our ancient scripture, it says these things. So we got to get out of this general historical aspect of the way civilization is supposed to start out. Just given us by the white boy. You see. Given us by the white boy, because like I said last night, why is it that they don't show you nothing but Mexico City and a bunch of poor-ass Mexicans, but they never go into the interior of a big continent? You see what I'm saying? That part of South America, North America. You see what I'm saying? Why they don't go into showing you different aspects of South America? You see, that is a reason. But we're talking about Olmec civilization. You see what I'm saying? Now, even in El Salvador, brother got this now. This is all coincide. I'm going to go back to what I was talking about. But even in El Salvador, brother went up to Canada to get this particular information in 2000, where the people in El Salvador, when they talk about the ancient mythology of the people who colonized that land, or the ancient mythology of where the El Salvador people say they came from, they say that their ancestors were the Moors. We got this shit in El Salvador. We just found this particular information in 2000, and they got this whole mythology of these, they always give you the animal thing, just like Sister Erica was saying, about these lizard people and these frog people and all this type of stuff. But that's the animal aspect. It's called the zoo type. And the totem, just to explain the higher levels of it. But in this particular mythology, they say that their ancestor was the Moors. But then again, on the other hand, to really find out what we're talking about here, we're talking about also the Olmecs. Because we don't want to get into a play of words also, too. You see what I'm saying? Because you got Cam, you got Cush, you got Punt. You see what I'm saying? You got Moor, you got Lemuria. You see what I'm saying? You got all these different things here and all in the play on words. We still just talk about indigenous black people. Now, The key here is, going back, we are the people. Why? Because we're the only people that have reached back into ancient antiquity. Now try to understand this. We had a group of Africans back about 10 years ago. We got together with a group of Africans and we started trying to drop this stuff on Hemmitt and all the other ancient civilization on them, and they got a little appalled at us and pissed off at us because they said, who are you to tell us about African civilization? And the brother who brought them together, who happened to be a doggone African, he said, I'm kind of embarrassed. These motherfuckers is thinking when you talk about African history, you're talking about their ancestors of the last 100 years. They have no concept of ancient civilization. He thinks when you talk about African history, you talk about a motherfucker from 100, 200 years back. So they was like, who are you to tell me about African history? I know my grandfather, my great-grandfather, and they're saying they don't even understand this shit they're talking about is separated damn near 2,000 years. You see what I'm saying? And they're thinking you're talking about modern Africa within the 200-year period. And he said they have no concept of the ancient Africa. You see what I'm saying? Of the Cushite.
One of the white folks over there digging for it.
Yeah, right, the ancient Africa. So the point about it here is we're the ones that dug back into antiquity. So when somebody asks the question, how is this shit going down? We're the ones that's bringing it about. So that's the end of the story. Because there ain't no other Africans on the planet looking to solve this shit. It's like John Henry Clark said, they are in retreat from Africa. But then again, on the other hand, that's not to look down on much, because they put us here as indigenous black people so that the rest of the people can do their thing, so this is what we're supposed to be doing. And then when you break that down, we only talk about a small group of black people in this conscious community that's doing this, so that the rest of black people that's dead out here can understand this, you know. So because we're doing it, they don't have to do it. So it's all connected. So we're not talking about separation from the main aspect of indigenous black people around the world. We just understand that we were the people slated to do this particular information because we're the only people doing it. So the argument, one brother in California was like, why the hell you figure it's got to be you brothers in America? I'm saying the argument is, who else the fuck is talking about these kind of concepts? You see what I'm saying? Now they got a whole group of brothers and sisters in England that the last 5 years they was dealing with the Afrocentric stuff, what we started 14 years ago, 10 years ago. Now they're now getting into the metaphysical thing. You see what I'm saying? So I got a bunch of tapes and stuff that's getting real hot in England in that particular aspect now. And stuff. So the point, but the point about it here is we are at the vanguard of this shit because we old in this thing. Our shit goes, and we talk about movements, we got to go all the way back to fucking Marcus Garvey, Noble Ali, Elijah Muhammad, and have these resurgences, and even prior to that, you had the Harlem History Club, and you even had people like Hansberry, Leo Hansberry, and people even at the turn of the century. You got to even throw even in the W.E.B. Du Bois thing. You see what I'm saying? You always had these particular intelligentsia groups that starting from the turn of the century, on in from the turn of the century to the 30s, into a resurgence in the late 50s, the 60s, the 70s. We've always had this thing because we've always been in the vanguard because we were always up under the foot of the beast. You see what I'm saying? And one thing about the white boy, he is a collector of ancient relics. So therefore, we benefit from it. This is just the reality of the earth plane right now. So so that you don't get the misinformation or the misunderstanding, there is no way that you can say that this shit is not coming out of us, because it's coming out of us. We the motherfuckers doing it. All right? So therefore, if we are the people from the original man up to now doing this shit, that means that the Hebrews, not only say Hebrews, the Jews that isn't really's,
Right.
the fake so-called Jew postulating as a Hebrew, he has to be jealous. Now you got to understand the concept here, that this person here, I mean, there's a whole book, The Invention of Ancient Israel. And basically, it's a book where they talk about these Europeans got together and had a consensus.
Yeah.
That we're going to take this particular ancient mythology and we are going to put ourselves in history as the original, or as the chosen people. There's a whole book on that they just produced about 3-4 years ago, the invention of ancient Israel.
That's where the calling is coming in.
Well, see, not only that, see, this is a worldwide conspiracy, and we're talking about the elite level of all the Illuminati and all those particular people and all the Tavistock. They got several names for them. There's one thing that's a consensus that's clear, that Israel has to be our priesthood. You got to understand how this shit is going down. You got to understand. There is a priesthood for all of them. Because whether you say Christianity and Pope and all that shit, it's all the same damn religion. Old Testament, New Testament. You see what I'm saying? What's that?
That would be my question. Why would the Jews then promote a man that says that, consider him anti-Semitic, but the reason why they consider him that
I'm getting ready to break that down in a few seconds right now.
But yeah, the reason why they said it is because they say that he's saying that Judaism is a false religion because it's a false religion because that the Jews aren't the true chosen people, that the black people are the chosen people.
Right.
Why would the Jews promote a man like that if Farrakhan is saying that your religion is a false religion, you're not the chosen people?
Because I'm going to explain the whole thing. It's a whole science behind that. There's a whole science behind that because
I'm going to let you go, but because what I was saying is that the whole trick with the Jews is that they've been able to work underneath the gross white folks and they work underneath them in a secrecy by saying that we're like them and that we're going to work among them. But here you have a person you have the 10%, you have an individual, Farrakhan, or anyone, especially the messenger, to say that these are individuals, these 10%, these are individuals who's working among them, and I'm going to point them out.
Okay, first of all, there's only one thing. I'm going to go into that. But there's only one thing. Because now this motherfucker said last Savior's Day that he is a Jew.
What?
That's right. See, the Farrakhan issue has been blown out of the water. That motherfucker they're selling out every fucking day. See, that lets you know that the motherfucker was an agent from the get-go. I'm saying this motherfucker's one of the greatest government agents we got. And we'll prove that shit. But then again, history proves that. This motherfucker's selling out every goddamn day. Every day. You see what I'm saying? This motherfucker called Billy Graham up in 99 and asked Billy Graham for his forgiveness. In the story. You see what I'm saying? That nigga was an agent from the get-go. We're going to get into that, but the point I'm trying to make is this here. Before we go back to that, because that's all a part of the propaganda.
Wait a minute. Let me stop you. You trying to goddamn tell me.
That's right.
Farrakhan
Called Billy Graham up
Billy Graham.
in 99
Yeah, I remember
Ask
that.
that motherfucker what's for
and asked for his forgiveness.
Yeah.
What?
It was in their paper.
And asked for his forgiveness.
Now, see,
So if the nigga is not an agent, if he the true man is just the liberator, why he gonna call Billy Graham up?
But he also was the one that said that Jews were not a race of people, that the word Jew means it's a relationship with God, but that was just to...
Yeah, but that's I'm trying to say here is, I'm gonna in order for him to rise up, you gotta get into the whole science of how this thing is. See, one thing about ruling class, it's all in the book, the Occult Technology of Power. They don't give a damn about how much shit you talk about them. They rule the motherfucking world. What it is about us is we don't understand the technology. We keep thinking that we're in the 1930s where you can reveal some shit. But don't you know? Well, hold on, we go back there in a minute. They don't care nothing about that. You see, you might not be advanced to understand. This devil here can say, look, we can have you talk shit against us. Because they know that the masses of the people, if they hold the purse strings and they decide who eats on the planet, they know that the people are shit. They know that the people gonna go where the money gonna go. You see what I'm saying? Because the people don't give a damn. See the movie Harrison Bergeron. They say, go ahead and tell. Ain't nobody gonna believe you. But 1.2%. So I'm going to the science of this type of thing because you got to be more sophisticated to try and pick it apart. To pick this thing apart. And the reason why I know because I'm a public speaker. I'm a public speaker. And I know several white motherfuckers that they can't even put on TV. You don't get to my point is this here. If he was the enemy of white people, why would the white man let him use his medium?
Be against him. That's right.
And his media to expose him. This is a contradiction. We don't analyze shit. We go by emotion. We accept shit right off the bat because we are not a sophisticated people. If you are my motherfucking enemy, if you are my enemy, okay, why would I let you use my most powerful tool to the minds to expose me?
Don't make sense.
It don't make sense. It's just that we are programmed to think that we get all our knowledge from TV. We never think about how did they let him on TV and not a Dr. Ben, not a John Henry Clark, not a whole bunch of Cadbury scholars. They had over 30, 40 scholars when this Afrocentric thing broke out. None of them got on TV.
That was the Atlanta thing?
No, I'm talking about the Afrocentric movement. Anybody know what the Afrocentric movement is? Anybody know that we had a fucking vanguard resurgence of information that had the last 10 years?